boy! Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, everybody? My name is Blitzwinger. Ladies and gents, as I mentioned, oh boy, finally we have the BB update in Star Wars Battlefront 2. So, of course, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new video. If you guys do enjoy today's video, please don't forget to hit that like button. That is always very highly appreciated. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. And what are we discussing today? Well, it is the BB update. Now, this update was supposed to be live a couple of weeks ago at this point, and now it is finally indeed live. So it's very cool to get this update in the game. Now, the cool thing about this update is it actually introduces 2 brand new heroes, but that is not all. In fact, when you just launch the game, this is the window that you are greeted with, and it is titled simply as the BB update. Now, before we get into this, I do want to hear from you guys down in the comment section below. Let me know which of the 2 droids are you more excited for, BB-8 or BB-9E, and maybe you want to save your opinions until you actually see the character models, until you see their abilities, which we're going to break down here in just one second. So, let's continue and read the actual update. Watch it! The new heroes BB-8 and BB-9E are rolling out on the battlefront. Support your team with these agile and resourceful droids. We're also introducing sequel trilogy locations in Supremacy before Capital Supremacy. That was, of course, the previous name for it. Attack and defend the MC-85 Star Cruiser or the Resurgent class Star Destroyer looming above the thrilling high agency battles on Ajan Kloss, or maybe it's Agent Kloss. I don't know how the pronunciation for that planet goes. Jakku and Takodana. The same locations have been added to offline instant action too. Sounds good to me. So, once we press the button, dude, look at that. We've got a brand new loading screen with BB-9E greeting us. That is very cool indeed. And so now we've got, of course, all of the update elements to discuss. So outside of the map changes, there they are. We've got BB-8 and BB-9E looking very cool. That is very exciting, and we're going to go on ahead and take a look at both of those characters here in just a sec. That's a really cool animation. But first, I did want to point out that the BB update does also bring 2 brand new emotes, so let's take a look at those real quick. We've got 1 brand new emote for Finn, so let's go on ahead and take a look at that. This is the thumbs up emote. Really? That's all? I mean, I think that's okay, it's a little bit generic, I'll say that much. But let's see if Kylo Ren's new emote is a lot better. This is the Showdown emote. And okay, so that's kind of cool, kind of a dynamic pose for sure, getting him readied up for battle or an opponent, in this case probably Rey or something. So that is a pretty cool pose indeed. So now let's dive into the actual droids, because that is, of course, what we are looking forward to checking out. Now, of course, you guys can expect some gameplay for both BB-8 and BB-9E. Those are all coming to the channel, so stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys as well. So, with that in mind, though, let's kick things off by first and foremost taking a look at BB-8. So, first of all, my gosh, look at this character model. They knocked it out of the park, as they always tend to do. I will say that Jedi Fallen Order is my favorite Star Wars game that I have ever played. Now, to be fair, I haven't played many or all the Star Wars games, so it's not the most valid of opinions, I guess, considering I haven't played a lot of hit classics like the Knights of the Old Republic. But what I will say is that Star Wars Battlefront 2 is by far the best looking Star Wars game. I mean, look at the details on this thing. It is absolutely insane how much texture detail there is in this game. So, with that in mind, let's go on ahead and take a look at the entire feature set here for the character. So first and foremost, we have some emotes. You have the excited emote. You have the, oh yes, of course, you have to include the thumbs up. I was gonna say, I mean, that's kind of a must, right? So that is actually really cool. Then you have the angry beeps. And then you have the twist, which actually has a light up feature. Cool. Okay, so that's kind of neat. All right, let's take a look at the voice lines. Okay, so the voice lines are just basically the voices that accommodate the previously seen emotes. And then we have some victory poses. So we have the sided victory pose, which looks kind of neat, I guess. Then you have the thumbs up, which is awesome. That's probably the one that I'm going to try to get, assuming that I can actually find it inside one of the crates. Then we have the Wired Parade, which looks terrifying, to be quite honest. He kind of looks like he's just possessed by like some tendrils or something. That looks a little terrifying. And then Cable's Out, which is almost like a Spider-Man-esque pose. And he's got like the red glowing eye, making him look a little bit more menacing than before. Now, the other thing I want to take a look at are the abilities. So let's bring those up. Okay, wow. Okay, so he's actually got 3 different passive abilities, which is kind of interesting because I don't remember any other heroes having 3 passive abilities. So let's see what those are. So first and foremost, we have Health and Elimination, which allows him to regain health for each defeated enemy. That's pretty standard fare for many hero characters. Then he has Technical Support, which allows BB-8 to count as 2 units when capturing a point. Dude, holy moly. Okay, so that makes BB-8 very, very useful in objective game modes. That's going to be awesome. And then Swift Reaction, which allows BB-8 to passively increase the cooldown speed of friendly characters around him. So that sounds like a pretty fantastic support character. That's already some really great elements, whether it be focusing on objective or the fact that he can reduce the cooldown time on abilities. That sounds really, really, really good too. So let's see what the actual abilities are. So first and foremost, we have Resistance Backing, which allows BB-8 to scramble enemy radars while revealing hostiles to himself and his allies. What? Okay, so it's basically like a scanner, like a UAV type scanner in like a Call of Duty, let's say. But here, not only does it give you the appearance of where the hostiles are, but it also scrambles their radar, so that sounds very versatile. And then in addition to that, as if all that wasn't good enough, if attacked, revealed enemies will take increased damage. That's insane. Wow, that could really, really be a really good useful ability. Then he has Cable Spin, which is the L1R1 ability, allowing BB-8 to deploy his cables and lash out with a spin, inflicting high damage to all close-by enemies. Okay, so I don't know how useful that might be, especially considering that it doesn't say that he's invulnerable in that moment, which means that if you're fighting an enemy like, let's say, Darth Vader or Kylo Ren or someone like that who has a lightsaber, I'm sure you would still be taking quite a bit of damage. So it'll be interesting to see how useful that ability might end up being. And then Rolling Charge, which allows BB-8 to charge forward to knock down, to knock down and damage the first enemy standing in his path. If blocked, the enemy is still staggered and damaged. Okay, so that sounds like it could be very, very, very handy, especially because it still does damage even against blocked attacks. So that should be pretty good. But the other thing is that you could also use that defensively to roll away from the enemy or from battle situations. So that could be pretty useful. Okay, so that is a BB-8. Now let's transition to BB-9E and take a look at what we've got here for this particular character. So first of all, a much more menacing kind of villainous design, as you can see, with the black matte sort of glossy and matte finish. It's kind of a mix of the two elements. He's got this like electric arm, and then I will say that that red eye is just terrifying. Whoa, look at all the little lights you can see. Like when you zoom in close by the grates, like the vents and everything, you can see all these like little LEDs poking through. Very cool detail indeed. So, speaking of details, let's take a look at all the details for this character. So first we have the Suspicious emote, which seems to be a little bit of a dud. Then we have the Alarm, which is cool. That actually does look pretty neat with the antenna shooting up and down. That's kind of cool. Then you got Backfire, which seems like he's like got a burp or a fart or a hiccup. Just a release of gas of some sort and frustration. And then you have the Spiral, which I guess allows him to go, you spin my head right round, right round. So there you go. Now, what about voice lines? Oh, okay. So voice lines again, same thing. Just basically the exact voice lines that accommodate the emotes. And let's see the victory poses. So first of all, he's got the Shocking Victory, which looks quite shocking. Dude, that's awesome. With the smoke like that. That looks very, very, very menacing. With the red eye glowing through the smoke. It's like you don't know what's coming at you. That is very cool. Then you have Vigilant, which again takes advantage of that red light on the eye, which looks very, very cool. And you've got a simple Bow available as well. Okay, so with that all done, let's take a look at abilities, shall we? Okay, so here's the ability set that we're working with BB9E. Let's start with the actual abilities, shall we? So first and foremost, we have Smokescreen, which allows BB9E to deploy a dense smokescreen, obstructing enemy vision while revealing their positions at the same time. So kind of similar to BB8's ability, except this one seems to be a little bit more geographically dependent, meaning that it only will affect the actual smoke screen area. So that's kind of a neat ability. I wonder if it'll be very useful or not. And will it just add more to the chaos of this game as it is already? So I guess we'll see. It really depends on how big the smokescreen area actually is. But it does seem like it could be quite helpful at helping out teammates to find enemies within the smokescreen as well. Now, with that in mind, let's take a look at the second ability, which is Shock Spin. So again, kind of similar to BB-8 with the spinning and cable sort of thing, except here you have electrical cables. So on activation, BB-9E pushes and damages close by enemies with an electric pulse. Okay, enemies further away will have their blaster overheated and grenades disrupted? What? Okay, so that sounds pretty broken, because not only does he have the versatility of taking down close range enemies with almost like a melee attack, but the longer, further away enemies will get their blasters overheated and grenades disrupted, which means that obviously you don't have to be worried about taking long range damage. Now, it is interesting. I wonder if it affects melee characters. Like, will it overheat or like the stamina bar on the characters that use lightsabers? I guess we'll find out when we get to some gameplay. BB9E will damage close by enemies for the remainder of the active time. So this sounds like a really useful ability, but it will really truly depend on what that active time is. Like if it's 2 or 3 seconds, then obviously it's not going to be quite as useful as something like where maybe powers up for like 10 seconds, which maybe that would make it a little bit broken, but we'll see once we get to some gameplay. And then we have Charge Up, which is described as follows. BB9E emits a pulse that prevents the shock prod and any friendly blaster in the vicinity from overheating. Wait, what? Dude. So his basic attack, which is the shock prod, I'm assuming, since it's not being mentioned anywhere else as an ability, is not going to overheat, but then your teammates' blasters don't overheat either, while, dude, you could activate Shock Spin into Charge Up, or maybe Charge Up into Shock Spin would probably work better, and that would be insanely good, because your teammates have non-overheating blasters, while the enemy team has to deal with overheated grenades and blasters. That's craziness. That could really combo well together. In addition, close-by allies will have their abilities recharge time reduced. Oh, okay. As if all the other stuff wasn't good enough. That's pretty insane. Okay, so let's see what the passive abilities are like. So we have Health and Illumination, which again, pretty standard fare. Then we have Technical Support, which allows BB9E to count as 2 units when capturing. So exactly the same ability as we saw for BB-8. And then the last one is the Back to Support, which does sound different. BB9E passively regenerates the health of close-by allies. Dude! So you can literally activate the Charge Up along with the combo of Back to Support and Shock Spin. And that sounds like a GG. Well played for the enemy team, because they're going to get clapped at that point. My gosh. Okay, so there's a lot of potential for these droids, for sure. I'm very, very, very excited to actually check these characters out and play as them. Now, of course, we also do have to consider the fact that there are star cards and boost cards that will be available for these characters, so that will be interesting as well. Regardless, though, I do want to thank you guys for tuning into the BB update video for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Let me know which of the 2 droids you like best, BB-8 or BB-9E. I know that it's probably somewhat difficult to select, considering the fact that, I mean, we don't really know much about BB-9E, but he looks cool, he's got a really cool design, and BB-9E does have some really cool abilities. So the potential is there to make these 2 great hero/villain characters in the game. Let me know which one you're most excited for, and of course, guys, stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed and you have your notifications turned on. Hit the like button to help out with the YouTube algorithm. It really does mean a lot, and thank you so very much for your support. And with that in mind, of course, I'll be getting to actually recording some gameplay for each one of these, so of course, stay tuned for that on the channel. Peace, guys.